There you go. You got to decide first. All right, so we'll dig into it. We're going to talk about events tonight, and I'm curious how many of you have hosted your own event, whether it has been in person or virtual, all by yourself, your own event. Everybody here?
Like ever or this month?
No, ever. I mean, I know I'm recording this and other people will watch it, but I want to know. And then who has hosted one this month or has one on the calendar that you're hosting this month?
No. Me.
So I have mentioned it before and I'm going to mention it again. I'm especially going to mention it again, considering the special that we got out, that was put out this morning. If you don't have an event on the calendar, especially after we run through tonight, you need to get one on the calendar. Unless unless you're just like book solid, I don't know what's going on in your life. If like you legit are not lying to yourself because you're too scared to host it, then you need to have an event, because it's the best way to present the products and the business to the most people, okay? And at the end of the day, our job, what we get paid for, is to move product for Rodan and Fields. That's what we signed up to do. For whatever reason you signed up to do it, the actual job is moving product, whether that is in the form of a retail customer, a preferred customer, or a business partner, okay? In all three ways, you are moving product for the company. And the best way to do that, I wrote it inside the event, what we were going to talk about, is using less of your time, okay? Because we have a variety of people and lifestyles and backgrounds on here, but whether you work a full-time job, 12, 15-hour shifts, or you homeschool, or this is your legit side gig, or you have all the time in the world, you've got to figure out how to work smarter, not harder. Because what you don't want is you don't want this sucking up your life. It's not supposed to be that. This is supposed to be a tool where you can increase your income and increase your impact in pockets, like purposeful pockets, right? It takes time and it takes intention. But the best way to do that is to get as many people as possible in one place. And see, when I started, it used to be at restaurants or coffee shop or whatever. I mean, I set up at least one time a month from my first month on throughout my first 2 years in business. It was Ruby Tuesdays. It was a Mexican restaurant. It was a coffee shop. Anybody that would have me for free or under $100, because sometimes I paid to go and set up, and that was set up my products. And I'll tell you what I did. I'd book the place. I'd get the invite out before I got too scared. I didn't even know what I was going to do when I got the invite out. And then in between the time that I put the invite out, and I was inviting people every day, because that's the most important part, and we're going to talk about that here in a second, then we didn't have RF Virtual or the Daily or anything like that when I joined. So then I went to YouTube, and I went to Sarah Robbins' YouTube channel, and I watched Sarah Robbins. She had some, I bet she still got them on there, but I watched her present. And then I went to the Rodan and Fields YouTube channel, and I watched the doctors talk about the products. And I still, on our team page, under the Getting Started unit, I have like a basic resource guide. And in that basic resource guide, I talk about the Rodan and Fields YouTube channel and how my favorite product video to date is still a very old product video by Katie and Kathy. And I remember watching that over and over and taking notes on it. And it was like a crash course before every event I did. And this was like a crash course before every event I did. And I still have this in front of me, anything that I do. And so I tell you this to tell you that it doesn't matter where you are or what you know and what you don't know right now. You have everything you need to do an event, okay? And so I've had this raggedy old piece of paper taped to my computer forever. And it says events, date, time, name, theme, what makes it special, invite. And that's my formula. That's pick the date and the time, and generally it's a date and a time that works for me, right? And then I pick the name or the theme that I'm going to do it around. And I do that often by what's on sale or what my goal is or what I'm marketing at the time. And so right now it could be, eyes, brows, and lashes. It could be business partners. It could be new year, new business, whatever you want to do. Mine Friday night was called Get Glowing in 2021. We talked a little bit about self-care and how to take really good care of ourselves. And I just did a basic overview of the products. But pick something, pick anything, pick something that makes you excited so that whenever you do the event, you have some excitement in you because you're excited about what you're doing, okay? And really, when it comes to that kind of stuff, I've never been the best with catchy names or whatever for events, but you can just pick something that's in this book and decide to circle the event out around whatever it is that product or products do, okay? Something that's going to express the value of why it is that you're inviting people to come spend time with you and what it is that you're going to do. And that would be what makes it special. What makes it special? Why should somebody give up their time to come and spend time with you, right? Whether it's a Facebook event, and I'll talk about that in just a second, or whether it's on Zoom, which is what I'm really encouraging right now. What makes it special? Why would they want to? Are you doing a giveaway? Do we have free preferred customer enrollment? Are you doing a gift for everybody that attends? What are you doing? Why should they? Because you have to express the value of it. For people to come. And let's just think about it the way I encourage you guys to think about everything in your business. If somebody invited you to something, what would you want? What would you want them to tell you? You'd want them to tell you what to expect. What are you even going to? What are you going to get out of it? How much fun are you going to have? All those things. And so you've got to clearly express those things. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, you promote, you invite. And this is the cool part. And this is the part that's the actual work is we'll take my last event is a great example. And I have had so much fun this whole month. My whole month has surrounded this event. So this whole month I've been inviting to it and promoting to it and following up with people and things like that with business partners. But that's what I chose to put my energy into. And so I got to talk to 75 people. I'd say I need to go back and count of how many actually wrote me back, but it's way less than 50. It's probably around 30 to 35 people that wrote me back, but I got to have contact so far this month with 75 people, inviting them to come spend time with me at that event. And so that's check one. I'm doing my job. And I love inviting to events because you guys ask all the time, and we talk about language all the time. And I'll tell you, my number one tip for being real with people is to have something that you're actually excited about to invite them to. Mm-hmm. And it's so natural. And I have likened it to a birthday party forever and ever. And you guys have probably heard me say it. Invite like you're inviting somebody to a birthday party. Like, I am having this thing. It's going to be a ton of fun. Like, don't you want them to come? Yeah. You're going to buy drinks and snacks and food and all that stuff. You want people to come. And this is the exact same thing. It's no different. You should have that kind of energy and effort and intention into this as well. And so you're inviting. And here's the thing, no matter what happens at that event, you have done your job right there. And it's going to turn out one of a few different ways. One, so we'll take out of the 75 people that I invited, 23 people said, yes, send me the link. That sounds like fun. And 2 people came. And as of today, I have 9 people that wrote me over this last time period that said whatever reason, whether it was the truth or not. Some I legit know had to work late and their excuses were valid. They missed it, whatever. They wanted an invite to the next one. One said, oh, can you put this in for me as an order? She's a current PC. Sorry, I couldn't make it, blah, 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 whatever excuse. Can you get this for me? Oh, yes, thank you. So that's a touch. That's an order that I absolutely attribute to hosting that event. One girl's looking at getting one of the girls that came is looking at the business because she wants a ton of stuff and she's been using it forever. And she had a lot of fun on Friday night. And it's a consideration. This would be the third conversation I've had with her about it. So I don't know which way she's going to go, right? My job is just to do my job and the rest. But the other people I'm having continuing conversations with, at least they thought enough about me to write me in the 24 to 48 hours afterwards to say, I'm so sorry that I missed it. Invite me to the next one. And that's our job. Our job is to always continue the conversation, to take them to the next step, to have something else to invite them to expose them. We talk about these touches, the 12 to 15 touches that it can take. If you're real lucky, 8, right? And if you're super lucky, 1, it's crazy. But we talk about these touches. And so how can you increase your volume, increase your percentage? How can you increase that? It's by increasing the touches, the things that you invite them to, the ways that you drip on them. And this is the perfect, most natural and wonderful way to do it. So I really encourage you, if you're someone who's just scared, you have got to get over it, because this is just the best way to reach a lot of people. And especially wanted to tell you about Friday, because since then I've been talking to Brian so much about it. And I said, I don't think that it could have turned out any better, because you guys need to know that you are going to host events where no one comes. You are going to host events where 2 people come. You are going to host events where 10 people come. I have no idea to tell you the magic formula to get the magic people there. I've tried it all. But this, what I just went through with you guys, the only thing I haven't mentioned yet is that I follow up. So tomorrow on my time block is follow-up day. People I haven't heard from at all, I'll go tomorrow and I'll follow up and I'll tell them how much fun we had on Friday night and how I missed them, and continue that conversation with them. And that's it. You just do this in a loop, in a loop, in a loop. And let's say that for whatever reason, you are actually unable to host an online event, or and depending on where you live, there are people doing in-person events all over the place right now. Okay. So depending on your market, how you feel and where you live, that's up to you. But let's just say that you absolutely can't. Let's make an event. Let's make an event out of something normal. And one of my favorite things is the Solution Tool Challenge. You can make something like the Solution Tool Challenge an event in your head, right? This is what I'm inviting people to. I'm doing this thing. And today, you could just say, when you wake up tomorrow, you could just say, today, I'm in a challenge to see how many people I can get to take this quiz. Will you help me? Would you like to look at this? And that could be what you use that process around. You have something to invite them to do. Does that make sense? Okay. You guys have questions so far?
Sarah, can you take a photo of that little thing that you said you have by your desk, like whatever the event thing? Can you
you guys
maybe send it in the chat?
Chicken scratch handwriting. Absolutely. Yeah, I'll do that.
And I have a comment too. So I think my mom introduced me to this person. I don't even remember who it was, but I could find it. But I think the girl might be a Mary Kay lady. But what she does is she does a Zoom and she gets an event and she invites people. She has really great inviting language. And what she does is sends them little samples before the party. So you got to have some like planning into it, you know?
Yeah.
So you would send them Give It a Glow pack. And I think she actually charged like $5 for it or something.
I was just sitting here thinking about that same thing.
Yeah.
Was that
So,
the one that was on Wendy's page a while back?
No,
not the same.
No, it was some
it's not
other
RF girl. She's a different company.
Keep going.
Although
so-
I think maybe some RF people are doing something similar, because I think I saw a video that, oh, not Stephanie. What's that other dark-haired, long-haired girl that is always at the top of Jackie's leaderboard?
Christina Donza.
Yeah, I think she did one. And she talked about that, sending them that. And one of them, I think, is that the one you listened to? They even put a little packet together with like a headband and those washcloths that are like dehydrated, like, you know, that you can get them wet, and they put it in a little package. Yeah, and they charged money for them. And I was just sitting here thinking about that, because they have to, it's better, you know, I think if they have some skin in the game. Otherwise, you know, you can have all these people saying, yeah, and then they don't show up, and you've invested money in sending them things.
Absolutely.
So then on the Zoom, I mean, it's like you can, do your thing, but everyone's like washing their face at the same time, which would be cool. And, but yeah,
So
you get some buy-in for sure.
I want to show you guys, where is it? Oh, hold on. So this is what I'm trying to schedule with my friend in Dallas. So we're going to do a mask and margarita. And so they have to complete the solution tool in order for me to send them a sample of the mask that's appropriate for them. And then they each get their own they'll get the little sample of the mask, and then they'll get their own individual margarita mix that they can either make it alcoholic or non-alcoholic, whichever they prefer. So it's that same kind of idea, but I found these on Amazon, and it's like I can mail these in like an envelope with the mask sample. So it's cheap.
Yeah.
It's really cheap.
So I really love that idea a lot. The only thing that I did before mine this time was I sent the solution tool. And so I was able to get a few new, even for the people that did not come, I was able to get a few solution tool contacts. But I actually love that idea, Deb, of having them take the solution tool. And once they do that, you can send them this. And so if you have planned your event far enough in advance to be able to do something like that, that's a wonderful idea, because people are way more invested then.
Yeah. And the girl that I got this idea from, she had like scripts and everything, like exactly what to say. And it was good.
Can you share those?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll find it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's somewhere on my computer. I'm gonna have to look for it, but it was good.
Well, at least you can find your computer now.
Well, yeah, I did always have that. My other shoe, not to be found yet.
Really? You still didn't find your shoe?
That's hilarious.
Oh my God.
Sorry.
I love that idea. And the thing is, think about your people. Like I said when I started, think about what would you like to be invited to. That sounds like so much fun. I would totally show up to a few of those things, which is why anymore I do not like Facebook events. I just don't. If that's where your market lives, and like you think they're going to be interactive, and you think that that's going to like really connect, then go for it. But we have done everything from the Fast and Furious multiple posts that we did for a while, and we do for launches some, to
some jammas by the laundry basket.
Live like videos, to come join us at this time, and we do a video and whatever. And we always see some success out of it, and I think it's because the easy access, but the connection is just not there. And the follow-up game has to be strong no matter what. Okay, if you host an event and you don't follow up, you have just wasted your time. You really, really have. And I love, Trish and Deb, I love those examples that you gave right then, because that shows the difference between either type of event. Whether you decide that you're hosting an event 2 days from now and you don't have any time to mail and do all that kind of stuff, but you put your heart, soul, and sweat into inviting and exciting people, or if you do plan it a month in advance or however long in advance that you need to do solution tools and mail something out and make that kind of connection. It is just really about that personal relationship, that invitation, and that excitement that you get them to buy into. They have to want to be there. They have to want to be there, to be at what you're doing. And somebody used to say, people don't come to things that suck. And it's true. And people don't buy from people that they don't like. And people aren't going to come to an event for somebody that they don't want to be around. And that's a whole other thing. But it's definitely something that you need to think about. So I'm going to share my screen. What I plan on, I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to quickly go through, because I put Friday's event up on the YouTube channel. And for those that were there and anybody that's watched it since, one of the things that you'll notice, it's part of who I am. And I hope that you will be able to do the same thing, whatever that looks like for you, because you can watch my event on Friday and you can watch whatever event, like this type of event that they're talking about, or you could go watch some other leader's event, and they're all going to be a little bit different, and they should be a little bit different. The delivery should be, because especially with Zoom, you need to be paying attention to your audience. Do they feel like it's too scripted? And see, Mickey, when you told me that, that's one of my worst fears. I do not want to get a bunch of people together and just be yapping the whole time. I want people to feel like they're in my living room. I want to talk about, of course, I want to talk about Rodan and Fields. Of course, I want to teach them how I can help them in these different things that they might want and why they might want them. But I want them to know that I'm there to connect with them too, because I'm playing the long game. I genuinely care about people, and I want them to know whether their purchase is right now or their purchase is 2 months from now, that I care about helping them. And so what I'll tell you as we get into this is when you're doing Zoom events, please pay attention to the people that you invited, and pay attention if their eyes are glazed over, or if you feel robotic, you probably are robotic. And I really encourage you to grab the product guide and just let your shoulders down and have a good time with them, and let them know that you don't know everything. Let them know that you're not, like, you're there to facilitate it for them. But if you're scripted and you're just yapping the entire time and their eyes are glazed over, you could be super proud of all the stuff you memorized and the stuff that you said, but your event was terrible because they were just sitting, you invited them to come have fun with you, and they were just sitting there listening to you go off of, something that you memorized. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, if I had to tell you, like, a top tip, it's that. Sometimes we get caught up in scripts and, product knowledge and all of this kind of stuff, and we really forget. We forget what it is that we forget what it is that we are doing, and it's human interaction. All right, let me see if I can get this up.
I just sent that script over in the chat.
Thank you. Okay. So you guys should all have access to this. I do want to reiterate that this came from the bones of a Sunday night training. It's on the Rockin' Robins page. You can go there and you can, she did a PowerPoint, and she also has like a 1-page with boxes of talk about this, then talk about this, then talk about this, then talk about this. If I can find it, I'll post it in the chat too. But I formulated all of this. I originally did it off of how she trained that night. And her name is Kim Cartwright. And, I just thought it was genius. So anyway.
A lot of her photos were not good at all. So just be careful when you
they were terrible. But here's the thing. She's RFX. She's been RFX for years, and she is hosting great parties, it sounds like. So again, your emphasis, just make sure your emphasis is on the people you're trying to help whenever you're building your business. So there's a welcome slide, and then an introduction slide, and this is a slide for you to tell your very short story. And I'll tell you, with every single slide I'm going to go through, this advice applies. That slide is not about me. That slide is about me trying to share something that they can see themselves in. Okay? Every single slide is not about some fancy thing that you memorized. It's about how can that person see themselves doing what you do, or using that product, or that product bringing some sort of value to their life, okay? And then our founders, will always, forever and ever be my favorite part, because I have not met anyone outside of Rodan and Fields, and I've met a lot of people inside of Rodan and Fields that actually don't know where we came from. And so even if it's just the tiniest bit about who they are, where they met, how long they've been in dermatology, and why they decided to build our company. Okay? Like it's a big deal. It just doesn't happen like that. And as far as I know, I think I mentioned it on Friday, as far as I know, we are still the only direct sales network marketing company that has ever come the way that this was brought about. So their story, which clearly then rolls right into the evolution of Rodan and Fields. You don't need a lot of detail here. In fact, you could just read that slide, but this is where you get to tell them that they had the idea, they made the products, they launched it into department stores, and then they saw what was happening, social selling, and they bought it back from Estee Lauder. And people always love that fact. I almost always get a comment either inside the event or later. They'll say, I did not know that. And it's something fun for you to be able to talk about in a connection and a natural conversation. So this is just very quick. And then here's the stats. And this is good for them to see too. They're not our numbers, they're Euromonitor's numbers, but the places that we're number one. And so this is always a great visual. And then I don't know if Kim Cartwright did this or not, but I get tired of talking, especially if people aren't talking back to me. And I crave interaction. And when I'm invited to something, I want to interact. I want to, be in there some way. And so we have been doing a commercial break. And Becca Parker is an angel and always does it for me where I have a chance to breathe. And we do something called a food fight. And so we invite everybody that's on to use the chat and start with the letter A and do a food fight and just like type names of food from A to Z. And that's what we've been doing. And it's fun. So I would encourage you to think of something to do. If you want to do that, do that. But this is a great place to, again, let your shoulders down, don't be tense anymore. Just get in there and hang out and connect with the people that are there.
Is there a timeline involved with that?
Wait, the commercial break?
Yeah, well, like how
So
do you know when it ends?
a couple of times we, this last time we ended it at Z. Whenever we got to Z, we just ended it and we didn't really do much about it. It was just for fun. And then when I did the big event for the team in the fall, I think Becca set her timer for 2 minutes. And then wherever we were at 2 minutes, that person, I sent them a small little gift. So there's some wiggle room in there. And then we get into the good stuff, right? This PowerPoint is specifically an overview of a couple of my favorite extra things and our regimens. This was my choice to do in January because I'm doing one of these every single month this year. And I wanted to start with our basic skincare. I'm personally big on selling regimens. I love to sell regimens. I love to have people, if they're not doing anything else, that's my favorite customer. And so, I think we always gravitate, naturally towards something. And so that's what I picked. And I thought it was a good foundation for January. And so these next slides will be about the regimens. Okay. In February, I'm going to do one, and I believe I've chosen, unless they release the new regimens. If they release the new regimens in February, I'll change my mind and I'll focus it on that. But right now, I think February's is going to be called Better Together for Valentine's. And these slides will be replaced with some products that I think go great together, whether it's a mask or brow and lash or whatever like that. I'll spend a few minutes going through here and talk about products that go better together. Make sense? Mm-hmm. So theme it again, that's with that. You pick the date and time, pick a name and theme. Just pick a theme, something that sounds fun to you. And that sounds fun to me. So that's what I'm planning on doing. Back in the fall, we did fall skincare. Okay. But during this slide, I tell them the reason why we're number one, the reason why we're different, and it's because of multi-med therapy. And, it's right there on the bottom. So you don't even have to memorize anything. You can just multi-step science, right ingredients, right formulation, right order, right? You can give them a little tidbit about how we only have the best ingredients. If you know a fun fact about the Redefine toner, like that it has water from the coast of France in it, throw it in there. This is where you can, if you know a fun fact or you have something like that, maybe the volcanic sand that's in the detox mats. Throw something fun that's in there. And then I very briefly and quickly go over each regimen. I have picked as many pictures of people from the team as possible. And so I encourage you to use your customers' pictures. Please, I encourage you to continue putting your own before and after pictures and your approved customer before and after pictures in our team folder, because this is what I've designed, or I intended that folder to be for. So we have people on here that we know and that we can talk about, right? And again, you can see here on the slide, visibly improves fine lines, wrinkles, large pores, lifts, and sculpts. Okay. And what I do while I'm doing this, I have all these little stickies in here. I have something underlined on each one that I think is neat. And by now I have some of it memorized because I've done it so much. But you can, if you have it just tabbed, then you can just flip to the tab and tell them what you wanted to tell them. Or you can keep it even more simple, and it's right there on the slide. Brightens skin, targets discoloration, and evens out skin appearance. Okay. Same for unblemish. Same for soothe. Questions on this? And here's the thing about products, especially. Like I said from that first slide, this slide in this event is not about all the things that you know, right? If you have things that you just totally like geek out about, like I do, and I'm sure we all do, throw that stuff in there because it's fun, because it lights you up. It's more interactive, and it will probably get a better connection from the people that are there, right? I'm not saying leave all of that stuff out, but what I'm saying is whenever you talk about these slides, do your very best to share with them why they need it, what it's going to do for them, why they might see themselves using this product, okay? And so I chose to do the basic add-ons: Lash Boost, Brow Defining Boost, Amp MD Roller, Pore Cleanser, the eyes, and then I'll be honest, I don't think I do enough talking about Radiant Defense, so I really wanted to put Radiant Defense on here too. I don't know about you guys, but you know, I'm sure that we all have something that we forget a little bit of. And so I'm really excited. I'm going to be highlighting Radiant Defense in February too, Better Together, because it's better with all the regimens that we have. And so that's an easy connection there too. I do, while this is going on, or before, somewhere in the middle of where I'm talking about the regimens, I always want it to be interactive. And so I invite the people that are there to drop in the chat what they got when they took their skin quiz before they came, or what they're currently using. And that's generally good conversation as well. Because I can say that I love something all day long, but if the chat starts blowing up with things that they like, well, then it's not me telling them that Lash Boost is the bee's knees, right? It's Susie. And they're like, oh, dang, maybe I do want to add that to my next order, right? And then I was kind of sloppy on this Friday night, I won't lie. But it's just honestly because I knew everybody that was there really well. But you always end, just like any good invitation, at the close of it with the 3 ways that we can help you. And that's as a customer, as a consultant, or as a connector, okay? And then you can tell them what a preferred customer is. Again, Friday, both of them had been my longtime preferred customers. And so I didn't really go into this very much, but it's good. And honestly, if I could go back to Friday, the only thing that I would have changed about Friday is I would have made sure that I let them know that preferred customer perks were free through the rest of the month, which doesn't apply to them, but it does apply to their friends. And I do have a referral program. So that's a very good time to mention that. If you're doing an event and they are all your preferred customers, then they know, hopefully they know what this is, but a lot of them actually don't. If you have a preferred customer base that you do basically everything for, they may not even know what their perks are. And so in fact, you might want to go over this just a little bit, okay? And then consultant, and I just love this visual. It gives them the visual of for $75, they can sign up to do this too. When I'm doing a business op, I'm a little more heavy on this, but I'll tell you what I do during any of these is throughout the presentation, throughout my time with them, I mention multiple times, if anything that I am saying tonight like rings a bell for you, just we can talk about the consulting side. And you can find natural ways to slide that in throughout the slideshow. And so, of course, we'd want to tell them, if you're doing it this month, that the free Bright Eye also comes with that, and that they get the coupon for their first purchase, which makes it like basically 55% off of their first purchase. So you would want to mention that as well. And then this is just a fun picture that we all love so much, connector. And that's when you should talk about your referral program, and just how much you appreciate your business runs on referrals, and if they love what they're using, or if they don't need any more money and their skin is perfect, then you would love for them to get, those of you that have seen my events, I actually didn't say it Friday, but I almost always say that if in fact you don't need any more money and your skin is perfect, then I would love for you to connect me with somebody who you think that this would be right for. Okay. And then I didn't do this Friday either, but it was on here for us to do, depending on who's on there. I didn't want to do this on Friday. It didn't really apply for the crew that was there. But at the end, then you can say, after, we'll do personal consultations, or in the chat, tell me if you'd like to do a personal conversation or personal consultation, and we will schedule it. Questions answered, specialized product advice, learn about specials, and then an offer to schedule your own Meridian & Fields event. The 2 people that came on Friday, I've already talked to them about scheduling events, so that's another reason I kind of left this off. And at the end of it, I always do a giveaway. And so for me, for the beauty box, I do these cute spa headbands and a little pink plastic bag, kind of like what we got in the convention bundles, if you got a convention bundle. And then I do a pack of product samples, and just often something that I've found at like TJ Maxx, maybe a pen or something like that. I keep a stash over here, and so I just do a cute little beauty box. But it always has a headband and samples in it. So I thought this was good too. We didn't do it on Friday, but this would lead to the next part of the conversation in the event. You could have them put in the chat their answers, and then you can continue the conversation with which ones would be right, or take it offline, or however you need to do that. Make sense? Okay, I'm gonna stop this share. That's it. I plan on using the bones of that, and changing the theme every month, depending on either whatever special Meridian & Fields puts out, or however I'm feeling about doing it. I'm excited to see what you sent, Trisha, to see how it might have some things in it that we can incorporate. Questions?
Would you recommend saving, like, say for example, like this month, this is what you did, like this is your January presentation, label as January, and then do like February, because you might revisit, I don't know, in July or something?
Yeah,
like, are you keeping multiple?
I think that's a wonderful idea. Yes, I still have the fall one that I did in the fall. And so hopefully come this fall, I'll just repurpose that one a little bit, add whatever new products we have in there. I am seriously all about working smarter and not harder. Repurposing posts, reusing content, all of those kind of things, because I don't care what your life looks like. We are all busy, and our time is super important. And so taking our time to remake these over and over and over, that's wild. And I don't think that's what you should be using your time. I don't think that's what any of us should be using our time on. Questions, comments, ideas?
My second question, sorry.
Yeah.
For the ones that didn't show up, like they gave you their reason, are you offering for them to watch the recording, or are you just saying
that was only for
the
you?
Next one?
The only reason I recorded that was for you all, because, not to say that you can't. You could do that. That's fine if somebody just really wanted to. But again, the way I run my business, the reason I took a poll last year on why people signed up with me as a customer, and a poll on why people joined me directly. And so much of it was because they trusted me. They knew me, and they trusted me, and they felt connected to me. I took that poll last year in January, and it didn't change the way I did business. It solidified the way that I do business. And so them watching the replay, that sounds boring. I mean, I wouldn't want to do it. So unless they just really want to watch it, then I invite them to the next one. And actually what I did on this one was I've invited them to host one for their friends. That's where I'm going with this. So my plan for 2021 is I am personally going to be hosting one of these just for myself. And then I'm asking my customers and other people to host them as well. So if somebody ends up saying yes over these next couple of days before I have the February one made, I'm just going to reuse this. And I like this one too as a basic one because, it just kind of blanket covers our main things. In my opinion, it's nothing really fancy. It's nothing really magical. I truly believe that the magic is in the mundane, boring, inviting, and following up. And if you want your business to grow faster, invite more people and do a better job following up. And I know that that's where I can see a correlation in times in my business where I've done a lot of events, but maybe I shouldn't have done so many. Maybe I should have been a little better on the quality of my inviting and the quality of my following up, because I can certainly point to a few times in my business where I was hosting a lot of events, but my follow-up game was very weak. And clearly can't go back and change it, but definitely that's forefront of my mind.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So with a Zoom meeting, if you only have 1 or 2 people show up, how do you keep it from looking like a party that no one came to? You're thinking that same thing, right? Yeah.
Well,
I mean, I did an event, and we probably had 15 or 20 people confirm.
Yeah.
And I had 2, and then the third one joined like really late, so they missed, a lot.
You invite your teammates, Deb, because we'll all show. That's what you gotta do. And then you don't feel like you were nobody
Like
showed up, because
here,
nobody knows that we're all teammates.
Yeah.
that was helpful on
So invite
Friday,
us.
but I have a ton of personal.
And if you have a good turnout, we can disconnect.
Yeah.
I guess they didn't like what I was saying. They jumped off.
So I've had a ton of events at my house. I have events at my house all the time. That has basically been my MO for like the entire years that I've been in business. I'll go to a restaurant or a coffee shop, or I open my house for one. And I've had a ton where, I'll tell you, Allison Driver, she's on the team now. She's been my customer forever. I've had a ton where Allison Driver was the only person that came. And honestly, I don't know how to tell you to internally deal with that, but I take a second to sit with my disappointment for just a second, and then we move on. And I say, all right, looks like it's just us. What do you want to do? What do you want to play with? And we'll play with products. We'll do something. If in fact that some of the team hadn't been there on Friday, I probably would have scrapped that entire Zoom presentation, except for maybe a couple of things. Maybe actually, no, I probably would have scrapped the entire thing. And I would have spent time with the 2 people that were there. I would have ran to the bathroom and grabbed a couple of things, and I would have said, let's play. And so
something you could do too, like just to, if this happens, you could, in your inviting, you could say, I'm having a very small gathering.
There you go, setting expectations. Yeah, that's a good
Exactly.
idea. And then you can say, I'm sorry, there were so many people that wanted to come.
Trish, that's a
Having
great
a
idea.
small, intimate
I like that.
gathering.
Intimate.
I'm actually going to start using that language. That's wonderful.
Great idea.
Here's the thing. People like Zoom. Since the pandemic started, I've done everything from prayer meetings to Bible studies to my Sunday school class to things with you to I have a small group of girlfriends, and we meet monthly to like just do girlfriend stuff. I'm on here all the time. And so it's totally normal to be like, hey, do you want to come hang out on Zoom? When? Friday. Awesome. When? Tomorrow. And that's where I don't want you to feel like you have to have all of this preparation. So I think it's it's definitely two different things, where the idea that you were talking about is so stinking cool. In fact, I'm probably going to do something like that because I think it's so cool. It's just an extra personal touch to mail them something and to do something like that, an extra buy-in. But also, we have 6 days left in the month. You can get an event together and hammer it out and invite a ton of people and really increase your volume, right? So don't feel like it has to be one or the other. Don't go into perfectionist mode where we don't get anything done, because I've been there. You don't get anything done because I was going to do an event and it was going to be like this, but it can't be like that anymore. So now I'm not going to do it, which is really just a fancy excuse for not doing it. It's got a beautiful bow on it. I absolutely love it. Trying super hard not to do that anymore. So just what I really wanted to get to tell you guys tonight is the simplicity of it. Events should not be complicated. You can make, if they're your thing, you can make them as fun as you want to. But the important thing is that that is the best way to reach a lot of people. And at the end of the day, whether people say we should say this anymore or not, whatever, it's a numbers game. If you're not talking to a lot of people, granted, you need to be a good person, you need to be connecting, you need to be talking about their value, you need to be helping people, but you've got to talk to enough people for that to happen. And in my experience, events is the best way to do that. Any other ideas?
I'll say like this kind of just goes all in the whole package of running your Rodan and Fields business. Like, I know over the past year, I've really focused on really putting out more vulnerable type things on my social media, and people can really, really relate to those things, and they just get to know you better, and it's just the trust factor. And so if you're like looking, and I'm not saying airing dirty laundry, nothing like that, like figure out like what the important things in your life are, or like if you're struggling with something, like put it out there in a way that you're sharing because you want to be able to help somebody else, even if you're just saying like you're not alone. And if you're struggling with something, somebody else is struggling with the same thing. And people want to see that your life's not perfect. You don't live in sunshine and rainbows all day, every day. They want to see the realness of you. So if you like go back and look on your social media, if you've like posted anything vulnerable and real in a while, like you might want to just kind of start easing into that direction. It's not something that you can typically do just, head first, but just it's really played out really well, I think, for me, just opening up to the people that follow me.
You make a great point, because I think about Friday night, and let's think about your Friday nights. If it's an hour before the time that you're supposed to go to something and you have like social anxiety or anything like that, you're going to go if you're excited to see the person or if you're comfortable with them. Because this space, this Zoom space, it's personal too. And if they don't feel comfortable spending that kind of time with you because they don't know anything about you, you haven't let them in, anything like that, they might not be ready to come.
And really just all aspects of it, I just feel like practicing that, people are just way more apt to talk to you, respond to you, know you, trust you, all the things.
It is.
I think it took me a long time to do that though. So, we try to show the highlight reel of our life, and people really do want to see the struggle too.
What's personal to you is personal to somebody else, and you can help so many people. This business is just one avenue that people might be listening to you about, you know, giving recommendations and being helpful and being open in other areas. That's a must. And I know it's hard, but you keep it inside, it's not helping anybody.
Mhm. I know the last time I did my own event, it turned out really good, and I remember thinking to myself, God, why don't I do this more? And then I haven't done one since. And I invited like so many people that I had never talked to, and I just said like, hey, I don't know if this is something you'd be interested in or not, but I'm having this fun thing. Wanted to be sure to invite you. And there's a lot of people that were interested that I never even asked before.
That is pretty much verbatim what I said to the people that I haven't talked to. And some of the people that wrote back are people that they've never talked to me about this. And, you know, we ask for language all the time. We talk about language all the time. Well, what would you say? You know, I don't even know Susie. So of course you don't know if it would be their thing or not, but you wanted to invite them, wanted to make sure to invite you.
And if anybody responds back, even if they didn't show, like if they said, oh yeah, that sounds cool, like they're a prospect. They just told you that they were interested in your stuff.
Exactly.
Like they're a good prospect.
Yep. Truly. Guys got anything else on events? Oh, hello.
So cute.